What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast, episode number 263. With me tonight, up in the Great White North, Steve Santos. What's going on, Steve?
I don't know, man. I don't have anything nice to say today. Today. I don't know. Today's just not a good day.
Yeah, that's that's in the first 5 seconds of the podcast, and you're already saying a lot of people are checking out right now. They're deleting the podcast. Steve's got nothing to say.
Sorry, guys. Nothing nice to say today.
And a Great White North, David. David, what's going on, man? You did a great job last week, man.
Thanks for having me back. We took 1 point from Porto up in their house, so let's be positive about that.
Yeah. And next to me, Cristiano de Oliveira. No, de Oliveira, no. De Oliveira, David de Oliveira.
De Oliveira.
Some people might be disappointed because Steve might not have much to say, but I believe some might be happy that I don't have much to say as well. I'm just depressed.
Diz sempre isso, pá. E depois acabas por falar tudo.
But today I'm really I think I've hit rock bottom. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Rock bottom. Anyway, on tonight's podcast, as I mentioned, episode number 263, we'll look back at the Porto game, which happened this past week. We will also briefly put a bow tie or put a bow on this year's Champions League campaign for Benfica.
Put a noose on.
Put a noose. You're right about that, Steve. Put a noose.
Christ, man.
And also
we put a casket on it and bury it and just
It's why I'm wearing my black jersey for the funeral of the Champions League tonight.
He's got the right idea. And we'll also look ahead to Estoril, and we'll look ahead to Benfica's December month, which got quite a few games here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in December month, which is going to be short by nature because of the holiday, but we'll get into that. So without further ado, let's get right into the Porto game. Benfica traveled up to the Dragão to play Porto this past Friday. And I'll give you the lineup real quick. Varela was in goal. Almeida, Luizão, Jardel, and Grimaldo across the back. Feza, Pizzi, and Krovinovic in that midfield triangle. Salvio and Servio on the wings. Jonas, the lone striker, up front. Steve, not much different from what we had spoken about here as far as projecting a lineup. I think my only doubt was really who was going to play in the left wing. I didn't have much doubts that Varela was going to get the start. Steve, surprised at all?
No. There was the obvious chance that you might see him try to play with a more aggressive or more mobile guy up top like Jimenez. There was the chance that he'd place Villar, but the rest of the lineup, I think, was quite clear on who was going to play. I can't say that he got it wrong in his player selection, to be absolutely honest. I don't think that's where the problems lie. To be honest, that's not where I have my gripes about what happened on Friday.
Yeah. All right, so Cristiano, you want to get into the game? Let's get into the game, right?
Just real quick point on the lineups. I warned that I would not be surprised if Vitoria didn't play Jonas in this match, and even though Jonas was in the game, it felt like he wasn't in the game. So I wasn't necessarily 100% wrong with that one.
Well, you got to have people to connect to him.
To fill out the sheet. You got to have 11 on the field.
You got to have somebody to give him the ball.
It was...
All right.
There was moments where it looked like we could play football, but for the vast majority of it, it looked like we couldn't. So.
Any of those moments after the 15th minute?
No. Oddly enough, I think it was in like the 80-something minute when it looked like all we wanted to do was just cool the game off, and we could actually keep the ball and make a few passes. Yeah, but anywhere between the 20th and that minute, there was no football to be seen.
Yeah,
we still ready to wrap it up.
So I mean, a good first 15 minutes, and I was actually surprised because I think one of the things that I said was that Benfica's ability to soak up that initial pressure from Porto was going to be one of the keys. But as it turns out, and I think one of you guys mentioned that you would love to, I think it might have been Steve, you would love for Benfica to just go at Porto in that those initial instances of the game. I don't know which one of you guys said that.
I don't know. I might have.
I don't think it was me, but anyway, yeah. I'll take credit for it.
I think it was, but I always say that in every game. So
yeah, but I mean, let's talk about this. Was it Benfica's start, or was it the fact that Porto needed to make some adjustments, and once they made the adjustments, then that's when things got to normal?
I think you hit it on the head. I think once Sergio Conceição realized what was going on and he was able to make a couple of changes, I mean, it looked like men amongst boys, bro, and it was scary. And I know you should look at the positives, which was you got a point away, your arch rival, you got a point away from, at a team that's leading the championship. He should have plenty to be upset, to be happy about. But dude, it's the way that things. I mean, from that 15th minute on, it was like Porto, the speed between both teams, the difference, it was dramatic. I mean,
well, it was also a game that was played a lot in the midfield.
Okay, and Benfica's midfield was nowhere to be found. Our strikers weren't to be found. Our wing, like it was just after that 15th minute, everything collapsed. Everything collapsed. And Porto, once they started putting the pressure on Benfica and started moving the ball, they were so much quicker. We've complained about our back line over the, even last season, we complained about it at some point when especially when Lizelle was in there, that it's slow and that there's no pace in that back line. And you saw that once Brahimi, Marek, they started playing the ball over the top, and it was like they were just getting to it with ease. And I mean, look, sometimes he's a little brutal with his players, but the guy in this game, at least in my mind, he made all the adjustments, and it was his adjustments that really turned the game around for Football Club Porto.
Yeah, Steve, what did you think? I have no problems in saying here that Porto deserved to win this game, and I think that all of us four will say that. But Steve, what did you watch the game? And you thought it wasn't that good of a game from both sides. Cristiano thought that Porto was better. I thought that Porto was better too, but this wasn't a team that could play us out of the park.
No,
this Porto team.
Porto is not the type of team that will play anybody out of the park. Porto is a team that is going to try to make the game very physical, try to make the game very accelerated. I think that's what they struggled. I think they were expecting Benfica to sit back and let Porto try to play that aggressive game on them. But in the first 15, 20 minutes, what Benfica did was they brought their defensive line up. They brought all the lines up further up the pitch. They tried to keep the ball. They tried to play some connecting football, and Porto were surprised by that. And Conceição did put Marega a little bit more towards the right side and more trying to go 1v1 versus Grimaldo and keep him further back. And yeah, in that area there. And maybe that's one of the ways that he got more of those 1v1 battles and got the fear in us to get us to go a little bit further back and concede some space to them. But you watch this game, and there was a severe lack of quality all over the pitch. Porto is a team that is very, very physical, very, very fast and strong, and trying to do everything with brute force, and that proved to be their weakness. I mean, you have Marega there, who to me is not a very good footballer. He's very fast, he's very strong, but when the time came and he needed to find that little bit of subtlety, that little bit of technique, he was found wanting every time, and thankfully for that, because we would have lost the game if he was able to find it. But it was a game that was played at least the way Porto wanted it to be played. So I have to give them credit for that. But I have a very hard time believing, especially with how thin their squad is, that they're going to be able to keep this 100-mile-an-hour pace for the whole season. When you're just trying to rely on those types of things, you're not making the best opportunities for your good players to score. You're not making the best opportunities for your good players to influence the game. If Brahimi isn't doing anything with the possessions that he has, and he's making calculated decisions, he's bringing double teams onto himself and then releasing the ball to a guy who is in a better position. If Brahimi doesn't do that, and Brahimi has an off game, they're gonna end up dropping points. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I was worried because they were slaughtering everybody and stuff. But the more I watch them, like this is a podcast where I'm not happy and I'm not that positive about where we're going at the moment. But I'm not so sure that Porto is on the in the driver's seat. They're not much better than us, to be absolutely honest. They're not.
Here's the thing.
They're
The question was, did Porto outplay us? And they absolutely did. If you don't think Porto outplayed us in this game, yeah, they didn't have those clear-cut chances, and they didn't have the
That's not what they outplayed us, yes, because
they didn't play us out of the park.
They did play us out of the park. They were much better than. If you didn't know that was Benfica, and I would have told you I was from Malicão, you would have been like, okay, cool. Benfica struggled to string 3 passes together. Benfica couldn't get out of their own half for huge spurts of the game.
Porto still played
Benfica did was pack the box. Now, Benfica's lucky star was Marega, because in 5 minutes, in the 85th minute to the 92nd, he could have finished the game right there for Benfica. We were very lucky. Now, the other thing is this, Steve. You want to sit here and tell me that you're not confident for Porto, that they're thin, yada, yada. It's fine. You know what? I'm not even going to fight you on that. I'll give you that. But there's no way in hell that you could seriously turn around and tell me that you're confident after what you watched in that game that Benfica could do anything going forward as well.
I just said that.
No, I know he's not.
But that's exactly how I finished my statement, though. That's exactly how I finished my statement.
Yeah, no,
Porto are awful, but that doesn't make me feel that we're going to be any better than they are at this
What we're trying to say is that there wasn't a good game of football all around.
Porto didn't play beautiful football, but they outplayed us, guys. We couldn't string 3 passes. Like, if that's not outplaying us, I don't know. Bro, we were terrible, bro. We were.
Why don't
I?
I mean, listen,
the pot beat the kettle.
That's fine. That's fine. And I think
they were just as black.
Dude, I don't know. I think they clearly had the better chance. We had 1 chance.
Okay.
We had two
absolutely
chances.
They're better than us, but
they played a lot better than we did, guys. And look, and we're Benfiquistas, and I know a lot of us come here, we try not to be negative because the Benfica world is like, oh my God, I can't criticize my team because then I'm not a Benfiquista.
No.
We have to call a spade a spade. If you don't think they outplayed us, I don't know what game you're going to watch that you think a team outplayed Benfica. Benfica couldn't do anything with the ball. To me, I don't care what the opposition did. To me, that's done. Benfica couldn't get the ball out of their own end, their own half. To me, it's like, that's fine. It was atrocious. It was an atrocious performance. The only positive thing to come out of this game was the 1 point. But even that, you kind of have to take it, put your head down, and run away with it. Run away with it. I don't even want to talk about that 1 point because it was a miserable performance.
Well, I mean, if anything that you could take out of this game is the fact that all the pundits and all the commentators and everybody that previewed this game thought that Porto was just going to beat Benfica. And I think that when you look at the state of both teams right now, Porto, who has been playing well all season, if you will, and has had a consolidated game model, game idea. And now Benfica is almost halfway through the season, and they're changing from the 4-4-2 to a 4-3-3, which is something that's still in its infancy stages.
And I always said, show me a big game.
Right.
And where was that 4-3-3?
No, but what I'm saying is that the system is such at a beginner level that it's hard to judge and to get the most efficiencies out of the system. So you're going against a Porto team that has a consolidated game idea and a consolidated game model throughout that they've been playing with throughout the season. Whether it's the 4-3-3 or the 4-4-2, they have that consolidated. And you go into a Dragão fresh off just changing your formation to a 4-3-3. I know that some of the game principles are still there and some of the game ideas are still there, but you got to change your personnel. You got guys occupying different spaces. This is a team that is very new at this thing. So for Benfica to go there, yes, they got played out of the they got dominated by Porto, and I have no problems in stating that. But for Benfica to go there and to be able to get out of there with one point and tying the game, I think that's a very good result. Now, were we lucky?
When you're looking at the standings, it's a brilliant point. You're looking at the standings, job accomplished, right? Because like I said here last Tuesday, we cannot afford to leave the Dragão down 6. I said, I don't care. get a point. But I wanted Benfica to show some type of footballing, some type that, a lot of people were excited because Benfica beat Vitória Setúbal 6-0. I wanted to see a little bit of that game, and I didn't see any of that in this Porto game. Now, the result was great, but the way that they got the result, I don't care. Look, I think if you were to call Rui Vitória and get him in a room on the side by himself, I don't even think he'd be happy. He'd admit that he was happy with that, with the way that they played. The only thing that was positive was the 1 point. There is nothing else, not a single player, nothing. There was nothing else to take positive from this game.
Yeah, I think Varela had a good game. I think he surprised a lot of people.
I'm sorry. You know what? I'm in the middle. Varela's the only, aside from the 1 point, Varela. You're 100% correct, Dave. Varela's the only positive. Don't tell me Krovinovic. Don't tell me Pizzi, who's been missing all season. I think he stayed at, what is it, Pombal Marquez Pombal, whatever the hell it is, celebrate. Dude, the whole team was, I don't even know. I mean, there
was flashes. There was moments. It wasn't all bad. I think Varela really excels.
He played well. He played well.
I thought that Almeida contained Brahimi pretty well, for his abilities. And I thought that
Jardel
was okay.
Pretty decent matches considering.
Grimaldo, I thought had an awful game.
Jardel came out okay at the end of the game because
one, Marega didn't score.
Marega didn't score. And two, look. I've sat here and criticized Football Club Porto many freaking times, and I have no pity for these bastards, and I'm glad it happened against them. Mm-hmm. But don't tell me that was an offside. Forget Luizão. Don't tell me that was an offside. Oh. All of a sudden, our back line ain't looking too great. If that linesman doesn't make that hurry, I don't know what the hell he was looking at, because I don't care what country, what planet, that was not offsides. But I'm happy it happened against Football Club Porto.
It was offsides.
No, it was because the referee called it. But it was not offside.
It was not offside. You're right.
But no, come on, dude. I think it was Feja.
No,
he had him.
It was Salvio.
No, it's either Salvio or Almeida. It's all the way.
I thought it was Feja that went into cover. But whatever. The point is that he was onside. Look, no pity. Good. I actually applaud that. Thank you, referee. That's, now they only owe us about another 885. But at least we got one on our side. But had that gone in, had that been allowed to count, we wouldn't be sitting and talking about, well, Jardel had a good game. Bro, I mean, to me, there was nothing positive about this game besides the 1 point. And Varela, look, did he make a saves out of this world? Like, oh my, he did his job, but he played well. Yeah. A lot of times I said it and said the guy gives me no confidence. He leaves me very nervous. And in this game, he did not. So I got to tip my cap.
I wanted to get into Varela, and Dave pointed out in some stats that he sent to us that Varela has yet to be beaten by Porto. 3 games and 3 draws so far. So maybe he's a good luck charm against Porto. For at least draws. But the thing, and I don't know, I think I might have spoken about this last week on the podcast, is about Varela. Ever since Varela went out after that Boavista game, and then he came back, I got to be honest with you, he looks like a changed man to me. And before that, before Rui Vitória sitting him out, you look at the guy and you look at his eyes and you look at his body language, and it doesn't exude or inspire confidence. And that was something that I think that a lot of people noticed and were a little apprehensive with what Varela could give to this team. Fast forward 4 or 5 weekends, here he is. Varela, you look at him, and to me, looks confident. Good body language, making saves, some of them difficult, but doing his job, as Cristiano mentioned. So I don't really know what happened. I don't know if there was something that turned in his brain, if he saw a psychologist and he worked through that, or if he spoke to Vitória behind closed doors and he was given a vote of confidence. I don't know what happened between that Boavista game and the time that he got back on the starting position. But Varela is a changed man.
No, I agree. Look, the guy, he's been very good, looks very comfortable. And it looks like, whoever got to his head, whether it was that conversation Rui Vitória supposedly had with him, that, look, you're going to sit, but at some point you're going to get your chance again. We're not sitting because of a mistake. We're just making, we're going in a different direction, and maybe really believed in that. And they say he asked to leave in January, but Luis Felipe Vieira somehow convinced him to stay. And, maybe that brought him some confidence, and he got to start here, start there. And the kid's, he looks like a totally different goalkeeper. And so, I tip my cap to him, bro, and that's another proof that keep your head down, work hard, and at some point, a carroça ou cavalo passa para tua porta.
Yeah, Another guy that I want to talk about is Zivkovic, who we've been clamoring for for him to get some minutes. He did get some minutes, a total of 6 minutes, and I think that there was another one that Dave sent to us. The quickest sending off in Classico by a player, 6 minutes. He played a total of 6 minutes. Before that, Pacheco in 1989, 15 minutes. Vitor Silva in 1933, 16 minutes. Secretario, 1994. He's a Porto player, obviously, 19 minutes. And Antonio Teixeira in 1958. Dave is going deep. 1958, 20 minutes. He was also a Porto player. So that's your top 5 quickest send-offs or least amount of game played as a result of a send-off. And look, Zivkovic, the first one, he gets in front of the ball. It's obviously a bookable offense. The second one is a bookable offense also. But, we also got to look at the game. And look, I don't want to get into the refereeing. I think that Cristiano already mentioned all we wanted to mention about the refereeing with the offside. But that Felipe tackle on Jonas, that's at the very minimum is a yellow. At the very conditions him for the game. There was also a handball by Telsch, no card.
That's a yellow too.
They got one card, Otavio, for simulation, and that's all. That's all I'll say. And look, I'm with Cristiano. I couldn't have happened to worse people. Out of all the years.
Not worse people, worst
team, right? Because there's a lot of good fans and there's guys that I really enjoy speaking to, but karma's a bitch, and I think that she knocked on the door. Anyway, Rui Vitória has yet to beat Porto, so he continues with this can't beat Porto, but still, unbeaten against Porto is unbeaten against Rui Vitória, I should say.
Winless against Porto.
Winless. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. I couldn't find. So anyway, moving on. I guess the result we all agree. Steve, go ahead.
Couple things just to defend my point. Back onto the Porto playing us out of the park. I interjected because I think that was too positive a statement for this Porto team. I was not impressed by the way they played against us. I was not impressed by what they did. Yeah, we looked poor, but I don't think that great. I don't think they're that great. Second point, the telling off by Pizzi when he comes off.
Yeah, there you go.
Comes off the field there. It was a talking point on Mais Football. Thanks to Bruno or Alfredo, whoever it was that sent it and let me know about it.
Yeah,
I agree with Barbosa, where it's starting to show me that there's something going on. I'm starting to believe that there might be a little bit of unrest within the locker room. There might be players that are no longer what Rui Vitória has done or is doing. It's something that we'll have to keep an eye on. Whether Pizzi, let's call a spade, he's been playing crap. He's probably one of my favorite players on the squad, but he's been playing crap. He should be able to just suck it up and walk on. But I'm thinking that there might be more to it than just the simple, okay, I was subbed because I was not playing to my abilities. Samari says what the team needs now. I don't think he was able to see it in that light, because there might be more to it than just this decision. Something that I hope doesn't rear its ugly head, but it's something to watch.
Well, Pizzi wasn't happy with the substitution. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, Cristiano. And we weren't happy with the way Pizzi was playing. So the two of them go both ways. But I think that there's a clear disrespect towards the coach, regardless of how little you think of him. I think to be seen uttering those words towards both the Rui Vitória and his assistant, fica mal na fotografia. It wasn't
fica mal, but at the same time, players are human, and I'm not defending Pizzi because you guys know I've ripped him my share of times, but frustration. The guy has not played well all year. At some point, that's going to catch up to you. And I'm not defending what he did, but guys make mistakes and they come out and they show their frustration, and he had a couple choice words for the coach. But now, if this is something that happens on the regular, okay, you know, all right, now I'm going to start looking a little deeper. But in a big game against Football Club de Porto, you're playing for first place. You know, you haven't played well. The game hasn't gone your way. You barely touched the ball. Every time you have touched it, you've turned it over. You know, that gets to you. And so I'm going to give him a pass this time. Now, if I see this on a regular basis, obviously there's a problem there.
Well, apparently it wasn't a problem because he played against Basel today. So even after that, I don't know if then he had words with Vitória in the background or not after the game, but he did play against Basel. But you could see that there's definitely frustration. You're going from a guy that was absolutely vital to the team's success last year to a guy that is a shadow of himself, especially on a year prior to the World Cup, in a competition that he expects or that he hopes that he could do good enough to be included in that squad. So we could see the frustrations, but at the same time, we also have to look at and see if there's a rift in this locker room that's creating some of this, that it's not as harmonious as we think it is. This unity that Rui Vitória passes to the outside, we're not sure if that's really what's going on the inside, or if that's what he's trying to pass to the outside. So we have to keep an eye on that, as Cristiano mentioned.
If this happened in like the 6-0 victory against Vitória Setúbal, I'd be a lot more worried, honest to God, because you know,
relaxed.
They always say winning cures everything. You know what I mean? Winning hides a lot of the problems that people have amongst each other, because at the end of the day, it's about winning. So when you're frustrating in a big game like this, I'm going to give him a pass now. Now, if I see this on a regular, or if we see this on a regular, then obviously we're going to start digging into it a little bit deeper. But for now, to me, it's a non-issue, man. Like you said, he played today. Obviously, Krovinovic can't play in the Champions League. And, you know, so the odds of Pizzi not playing, they weren't that great because he needed somebody to play that role. But I'm really not too concerned with this as of yet.
Yeah. We'll jump right into the Champions League, and I got something here that Dave sent us as far as stats, and you know, I won't talk about more than what I'm gonna say here. Worst Portuguese European performance. 2017, Benfica 0 points in the Champions League. 2000, Sporting 2 points in the Champions League. 2013, Braga 3 points in the Champions League. 2014, Passos Ferreira 3 points in the Europa League. 2014, Estoril 3 points in the Europa League, and 2016, Sporting 3 points in the Champions League. So we took the cake in this year's Champions League and the history of Portuguese teams in the Champions League. Worst defensive performance for a Portuguese team in the Champions League. 13 goal difference, Benfica, in 6 games. For Sporting, Sporting comes second place, 11 goal difference. I think that's when they got spanked by Bayern. But anyway, worst all across the board by Benfica. Worst Portuguese performance in European competition. If you've been listening to the podcast from the beginning of the season, I think I mentioned here that this team is not built for Europe. Cristiano agrees that there's a lot of lacking of coach but that the players should have the pride to play and honor the shirt that they wear. That's Cristiano's position. Whether or not they're skilled enough to compete, and we know that they're skilled enough to compete with the Basels and the CSKAs of this world. But the biggest thing for Cristiano, and I think I agree with Cristiano, is the attitude.
I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna let the three of you guys give your opinion, and then I'm gonna come off, and I'll top it off at the end. Because what I have to say, we're gonna move on. No, I'm not gonna move on. We can't move on. I just
then go ahead, Chris. I don't have much to say.
Because for people to just poo-poo this, right? And act like
you can't poo-poo. I'm over vergonha.
And act like, oh, it's okay because we can still win the Penta and everything is gonna be fine. That is the dumbest attitude that anyone could have. And I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody. I really don't care. All right? At the end of the day.
So are you really sorry?
This club has an obligation to go out there and represent that manto sangrado, whatever. I can't even say it correctly, right? To represent that crest on their shirts. They are dishonoring. They are an embarrassment. They're shitting on the legacy that the Eusebius, the Colunas, the Torres, what these guys fought so hard for to put this club up on that pedestal, they just shitted on all that with this performance. And for the fact that everyone is okay with it, that's what I'm disgusted about.
I don't know if they're okay.
No, everybody's like, okay, it's all right, it's fine. Oh, we're 3 points away from first place. You embarrassed yourselves throughout forget the continent, because now it's a global sport, right? Even though it's a European competition, it's televised all over the world. You are an embarrassment. I don't need to be read how many points Estoril had, Sporting. I don't give a shit about none of those teams. I care about Sport. Unos Benfica. SLB. That's all I care. Once you told me the worst in history, that's all I needed to hear. It's an embarrassment. Okay? And to come away with, well, we're playing with our B squad. Look, guys. Our team doesn't
1.5 million at stake.
Our team doesn't play good football when we have our starters. Our team doesn't play football when we have our backups. Our team doesn't play football when we're in the script. Our team never plays good football, and everybody's okay with it because Rui Vitoria has got tremendous numbers against a bunch of monkus. But yet, when he plays the big boys, he's winless. But you know what? When we play in the league that there's a bunch of monkus, let's sit there and praise him because he's tremendous. He's better than Mourinho, goddammit. The dude's tremendous. But what he's done is he embarrassed this club. And for the fact that everyone is just turning around and like, oh, it's okay. It's nonchalant. Yeah. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And don't come at me and tell me you're a diehard Benfiquista, because if you're a diehard Benfiquista, you're not offended by this, you're not a goddamn diehard Benfiquista.
That's right. I don't think that I could have added anything else. I think that even if you win the Penta, this is a big shit stain on your tidy whities.
You're embarrassing our prestige, bro.
20,470 people.
That looked like a Red Bulls game. 6,000 show up and they announce a sellout. That's what it looked like today. Tell me 20,000 in that stadium.
22,000, and a few of them we knew. Mariana, Magda, Pete Domikin, Timo, Marcus, Horn also was in there, and there was a bunch of people that all got together. Forgive me if I'm forgetting anyone. But yeah, that was sad. 1.5 million at stake, and still look.
Forget that stake. We look like an amateur club against CSKA Moscow and Basel.
Pronto, já está, acabou.
We look like an amateur club.
Moving on, we got Estoril this weekend. No, I mean,
what are you gonna add to that, Chris?
I want to cry. I want to like vent and talk to people and let it out and like try to guys tell me something to make me feel better. You go, all right, I'm moving on. Let's go to Estoril.
People try to do it to you, try to tell you something to make you
reach
feel
out
better.
to David Pritchett. Maybe he'll got some stats that could. David Pritchett's got some stats that could cheer you up. I don't know.
Last thing on this disastrous Champions League performance. All right, you might disagree with me, guys, but right now, if Benfica does not win the Penta, I want Rui Vitoria gone. He doesn't deserve to be brought. I don't care if he won the last two Champions League, the championships. He does not return. This happens. What happened at Benfica happens at another big club with some type of self-dignity and self-respect. He's fired.
Well, I think that there's people that want Rui Vitoria gone even if he wins the Penta. Steve is one of them.
Look, again, I haven't been a big fan, but at the end of the day, I got to live with it. He's winning. Winning cures a lot of things.
Yep.
And if he's winning, even I won't be thrilled, but it is what it is. At least the guy deserves a chance to lose it. And to me, after this, there is no chance.
Yeah.
The youth league. We've been to semifinal. We got knocked out. We didn't even make it out of the group stage. I mean, there's nothing.
No, but we got robbed.
Who gives a? Did we move out?
No. Your boy Jean Felix scored a goal, hit inside, came out, and the referee finished the game, and we tied it.
Well, sometimes VAR helps you, sometimes it doesn't.
Well,
it helped us on Friday, it didn't help us today.
No
UCL.
Yeah.
Whatever. There was a VAR in Portuguese league, and they didn't put it to work on Friday neither. So.
So anyway, moving on. Can we move on, Cristiano?
Go ahead, man.
All right, moving on to Estoril. Estoril will visit Stadio de Luz. Estoril is dead last this Saturday, 6:15 local. Estoril has 8 points from 2 wins, 9 losses, and 2 ties. Away, their record is 1 win, 5 losses, and 1 tie. They have the worst defense and the worst attack in the league. Dave, you want to run us through the last matches from Estoril against Benfica?
Yeah, sure. So last year, we played them 4 times, twice in the league and twice for Taça Portugal. Last couple of games, 2-1 at home. Jonas 2 goals in the league, 3-3 at home for the Taça Portugal. Kirilo, Zivkovic, Jonas scored. In Estoril, Mitroglou scored twice for 2-1 victory there, and we beat them 1-0 at their house for the league as well. Jimenez with the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, so quite a favorable record or history for Benfica. And Steve, any concerns that this might be a trap game, or you think just the way the team has been playing, there's no such thing as a trap game? Every game is a need-to-win game.
Well, that's a nice way to put it. I don't. The only way this is a trap game is if we lose. Jesus Christ, I don't even want to think about what would happen if we lose or even drop points to the team that's been as poor as Estoril has been so far, which is sad because they're one of the teams that normally have the most investment and
they're owned by Traffic, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know if they're owned, but they have a stake in them. They normally get good Brazilian players. They looked good at times last year. I remember being impressed. I think it was in the 3-3 game versus them, but it's all gone to hell, which is sad because we've put, for me, one of our more promising prospects out to loan in out there with them, and I don't think he's done that well if the team's done as poorly as they have. But no, this to call a trap game. If this is like I don't even know what to call it. It's more than a trap game. If you don't win at this point, it's a dream shatterer. It's an all-time low. It's awful. It's not even a trap game to me. A trap game is when you're on the top of the league and you know things are kind of comfortable and you see an easy game on paper and you let it slip. This game, if you let it slip, shit's gonna hit the fan for real. Not even the way it's been up to now. I mean, it's real bad.
There was already Linster Brancos today at the Luz, Cristiano. Anyway, so not a very difficult game for Benfica, but by any means, at this point, the way we have been, we can't take any team lightly. And I think that we need to continue to look to grow this 4-3-3 system, get players more accustomed to playing, and I think that this goes back to it was either you, Steve, that said it, or Cristiano saying that the 4-3-3 may very well work, but for the Portuguese league and for the guys that are below sixth place, the 4-4-2 is really what you should be going to. And the only reason you don't play with the 4-4-2 is because Pizzi's playing so bad.
The only reason you don't play with the 4-4-2 is Pizzi's playing so bad. I think the only reason you don't play with the 4-4-2 because it leaves Krovinovic having to play the 8 role alone and perhaps do more defensive duties than he is accustomed to or capable of. I think that's the reason why you don't go 4-4-2 now. I don't think much has changed in terms of roles and ideas and what we try to do on the pitch with the 4-4-2. To be absolutely honest, I think the only thing that's really changed is you dropped a striker who's not performing, whether it's Jimenez or Seferovic, and you put in a player that links the midfield to the attack in his place. I mean, even Jonas's movements are for the most part pretty similar. Not too much has changed in terms of dynamic for me. It's just that Krovinovic at this point is way too good, way too important. It has too many qualities that we lack to leave him off. And if the only way to get him on the pitch is to play a 4-3-3, then that's what's going to happen. Will we see him maybe on a flank at some point and put a guy up front? It's a possibility. But for now, I think we're going to start most games 4-3-3 just because Krovinovic has become that important.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. The only way you switch from the 4-4-3 is if you decide to make a decision, flip a coin between you either going to play Krovinovic or Pizzi. Because if you're going to play both of them, you got to go with the 4-3-3 at this point. And in particular, in games like this, as I mentioned, my concerns with Benfica in a 4-3-3 were in big games. And Like I said, don't come to me and rave about the performance in a 4-3-3. And Pizzi showed up. He was his old self against Vitória Setúbal. Let me see what he does against Futebol Clube do Porto. Non-existent. Let me see what he did against Basel. Non-existent. So if those are the games that I had concerns with the 4-3-3 because of the fact that Benfica lacks a box-to-box guy. In a 4-3-3, I need a guy that's nonstop run. And Feja's not that guy. He's more the defensive guy, which you're going to have in a 4-3-3. And then you need a box-to-box. And that's not Pizzi, and that's not Krovinovic. So for me, they're going to go into Estoril playing in a 4-3-3 and, hopefully come up with a couple of chances, create and get the 3 points, and then everything will be cured, guys. Everything will be solved. Everybody will be in happy terms once again.
Yeah. So after the Estoril game, which is the on the 9th, which is this weekend, we have Rio Ave away. We travel to up north to play Rio Ave on the 13th. That's for the Portuguese Cup, a game that will prove to be very, very difficult for Benfica, especially what we have seen from Rio Ave this season. Didn't
they beat us already this season?
Tied.
Okay. Yeah, I know we dropped
1-1.
Okay.
12-17, Benfica will travel to Tondela to play Tondela. On 12-20, we will host Portimonense for the League Cup, and we'll finish out the month of December at Vitória Setúbal for the League Cup. So
When
that's
is that? What day is the
12-29.
The 29th.
So that's what's on tap for Benfica in December. So difficult trip to Rio Ave for the Portuguese Cup, which is it's going to be something that's going to be very important for Benfica and for Vitória especially, because he needs to keep that balloon. He needs to keep that balloon filled and with some oxygen. And I think that the more he loses and the worse this team does, and it could start with the Portuguese Cup, that balloon is going to deflate. That balloon is going to deflate because, we've been talking here about the way this team has been playing all season, and the way the season was planned in the off season. So, I mean, we've pointed out so many times we want to beat a dead horse, but I mean, if you listen to our podcast frequently, what our gripes have been with this team from the beginning of the season. So I don't have anything else.
Well, the good thing is that we have what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 games before the January transfer window, and hopefully, Steve, we'll see Gabigol get shipped back out of town. We'll see Douglas get shipped out of town, and hopefully these rumors that are circulating through the Portuguese press that they're going to go out and reinforce themselves with a right back, a quality right back, as opposed to the garbage we have now. Maybe a midfielder, a guy that could play alongside a Krovinovic or a Pizzi, one of those guys. Still need a CB. For some reason, there's no talk of CBs anywhere in the media, and because we're getting a goalie. Right, we get another 22-year-old German Greek. Yeah, he's coming in. So hopefully they'll be smart this time, whether it's players on loan, whether they buy players. But maybe that could turn Benfica's season around. But right now they have 5 games to worry about. But it's 5 games closer to the transfer window, Steve.
Yeah. Let's not forget they also have Sporting on the third or fourth.
The third Wednesday the 3rd.
So that's what the window just opened.
Steve, you think Benfica is going to go out and do what the rumors say they will do, which is reinforce their squad?
I have doubts, to be absolutely honest. I don't think they will. Anybody that comes in that is able to make an immediate impact is going to have to be really good and really expensive, and I don't think that that's going to happen. That's the way I look at it. The getting rid of Gabigol is huge in my books. I didn't see why we risked it on a player like that for a position that we were pretty well served with. I mean, there's got to be center backs, defensive midfielders, right backs, all with similar situations that stayed out there, that we didn't go out and get. Instead, we went to get a forward, which we already have enough of, that, to be absolutely honest, I don't think he's done anything but cause headaches, imbalances, and just problems. I not the way I would have done it. But yeah, that's the way I feel. I don't think anything's gonna happen in the transfer window. Nothing that's gonna turn the season around. No, I don't agree with that.
You know where
get a new coach.
You know where Benfica would be smart here, guys.
Can we get a new coach in the transfer
window? I know it's
window?
huge speculation, but at the end of the day, it's facts. Alfredo mentioned this earlier before, and he hit it right on the head. It's a World Cup year. You have players with Benfica pedigree, and I'm not saying these guys are coming, but I'm just if I'm them, this benefits the player, benefits the club. You got a guy like Renato Sanchez. No, that Romário doesn't have Benfica pedigree. I'm talking about guys who've been there. You know, that could actually that Jacques in your casa could come in and feel right at home right away.
In that aspect,
yes, that's what I'm talking about. You have a guy like Renato Sanchez was on the bubble. I don't even think he's on the bubble anymore, you know, due to his performances with Swansea. The guy, he's actually been worse at Swansea than he was at Bayern Munich, if you believe it or not. You got Nico Gaitan. You have guys. I'm not saying they're going to go get those guys, but just like there's a Renato Sanchez and there's a Nico Gaitan, there's got to be some Belgian kids, some Italian, whatever, some Mexicans, some US that are backing up, playing on barely getting minutes that, you know what, this is my opportunity to impress. What better place to go and play at Benfica? You're going to play on a big stage every week. If I perform well, my odds increase to get called up for my national team, whatever that national team may be.
Yeah.
So I think if Benfica uses their head, and hopefully these players are smart as well, but this could really benefit, Steve. I think, and look, and you said before, the quality players that will come in and make a difference or expensive. I disagree, buddy. And right back, it doesn't take much to improve over what you got now.
I knew you were going to make that comment.
I'm just saying.
I knew that you were going to come back at me with that comment.
It doesn't take much to improve over what Gabigol's offered so far in his first 6 months at Benfica. So you can obviously
surplus
improve.
Requirements.
You got to hit. To me, you got to be looking at the top.
I just mentioned two guys that make perfect sense. Nico Gaitan.
Nah.
And why not? Those two guys. Yo, that's exactly what Benfica needs. They enter the club. There is no doubt of whether these guys going to play.
It's a good shout. It's a good shout.
Yeah, but the thing with me with
honestly,
Gaitan,
at this point, I think Renato and Gaitan would have to get to game rhythms, and it wouldn't be immediate. Will they eventually make a difference? I think so. I worry about Renato, to be absolutely honest. The way I've seen things, I worried that he might
balls to the billboard.
I said this months ago, Steve.
I'm worried.
I said it months ago, and I'm gonna say it again. At this point today, both of these clubs need the club and the players.
Both those players need us more than we need them.
But forget Gaitan at this point. I'm just talking Renato. Renato needs Benfica more now than he needed him when he was 16. His confidence is shot. No one in the world believes in him. The guy needs to be cuddled. He needs to be hugged. He needs to be told that, bro, we believe in you. You know, you're going to be fine. He's at a stage in his career where it's make or break. And he needs Benfica right now more than Benfica needs him. And Gaitan's another guy. He's just rotting away on the Atletico Madrid bench. He comes to Benfica, plays a regular, plays well, performs like the old Gaitan we're accustomed to seeing. And maybe your boy in Argentina will look at him and say, you know what? Hey, I'm calling up Salvio. I'm calling up Salvio.
That tells you what I think. No, to be absolutely honest, Sam Pablo is a guy who I admire too.
Nutty.
He's a bit nutty, but his game model is one that I do admire. I do not see how I think I do see. He likes super high intensity. He likes guys that'll give him a good.
He plays like a 3-3-3-3-3-3. That guy's like all over the place. You don't even know what he's doing.
I think that's what he's football. But it's not the mold usually for that type of player, or that type of system.
To me, you need to be looking at the top 7 teams in the world, or in Europe rather, and looking to see what guys are out that could come in and be starters on this team. To me, that's where you start.
Yeah, but then at best for me, the way you look at that is it has to be loan deals. I don't see us.
Of course, loan deals.
Loan deals is
let them be mercenaries. Let them come and work for 6 months.
Guys that have something to gain, which is the World Cup.
Exactly.
Not trying to be funny here. Don't bring me no Italian.
I completely
no US, no Dutch guy who's gonna be sitting on the beach in the summer. We want a guy that wants to. I'm not trying to be funny here, but a guy that has a lot to prove. That wants to get that chance. That wants to, because like we mentioned with Pete, it's every player's dream. If you don't dream about playing in the World Cup, you're playing the wrong sport.
Yeah. Yeah, then all right, that's all I got. That's all we got. Thank Cristiano, you've had enough. Oh,
no, nothing. I'm stretching. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. False alarm.
I thought you said you weren't going to talk much, man.
No, I know, but when I start going, man, and like you, man. and dude, it just bothers me, man. Benfica is a global brand. Dude, I think it's a global team, and now we are global, but for all the wrong reasons. We're global because they're laughing. We're the butt of every joke.
I think you're voicing the opinion of a lot of fans out there, and some of them, even the ones that are in the closet with that type of opinion, that I've kind of just gone along with Rui Vitória's winning.
But it really bothers me that people are, for lack of a better word, it's like they're afraid to come out and criticize Benfica because they feel like if I criticize Benfica, I'm not a Benfica. If you see your brother or your sister heading down the wrong path, you're going to criticize, you're going to try to, it doesn't mean you don't love them, but if you got to slap them in the back of the head to straighten them out, you will.
I think it's more about encouraging the team rather than beating the
What's
the
that?
Team
the team was embarrassed today with 10 people in the stands and they were singing. That didn't help out. You heard the Benfica, the supporters, you heard them loud and clear at Old Trafford. The support was there. How'd that work out? You hear Benfica supporters everywhere they go. You hear them in a freaking preseason game. You hear them everywhere they go. That, unfortunately, that right now is not doing anything for this team.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap it up. Don't forget to visit the local places, planetbenfica.co.uk, benficapodcast.com, at Steve Santos, at Steve Santos 6, Extiano, at Tencio10, at Benfica Podcast, and David's here also. Dave, good to have you, man. Thanks again for your
job,
help in the stats.
Thank you.
And that's it. Steve, it was good seeing you as always. We'll be back next week. We will recap the Estoril game and we'll look ahead to Rio Ave, which should be an interesting one. And we'll talk about anything else that Cristiano wants to talk about.
That's all, folks.
See everybody. Later.